At the end of the day, content creation really ain't that difficult. It's everything else around it that's the difficult part. Because it's really simple. If you have a camera and then access to the internet, and you have a social media account, you can hit record on your phone, laptop, a regular digital camera, upload the video. Don't even give it a real title. Just you type gibberish, hit publish, and then boom, you have created content for public consumption on a social media platform. That's what we all call content creation in this day and age. And oftentimes we overcomplicate it, and the things around the content creation process is what makes the actual content creation process more difficult than necessary. One of those things is definitely comparison. If you are constantly looking at your favorite content creator or even other people who just come across your For You page and you're comparing yourself to them, not even the number of followers to your number of followers, but you're just comparing what you perceive to be who they are and what they're doing and why their video got selected by the algorithm to take off. And you compare what it is that you would potentially post. And then you get into your own brain and say, well, if it's not gonna go viral, then it's not really worth me posting it. Who cares? Who nobody's checking for me. So I'm not really gonna be an influencer. I don't see myself. If you have all of those thoughts clouding your brain before you even press record on your device, then that's going to make the content creation process more difficult than need be. I guess what hurts the most is that the self-talk, it can go either way. So you can self-talk yourself right out of expressing yourself creatively by posting a video or a photo online. But you can also talk yourself right into it as well. And whatever you talk about the most, whatever chatter is the loudest, whichever voice is making the most noise, that's probably the one you're going to listen to. And the one that you listen to is actually going to be the one that you've already been accustomed to listening to. Not even the one that you've been accustomed to hearing, but the one that you've been accustomed to actually listening to and following. Because you can easily have both arguments in your mind at the same time, saying, well, maybe I can post it, or maybe it will go somewhere. But then you have on the flip side of that, this ain't going nowhere, bro. Ain't nobody watching your video. Don't nobody care. Keep it pushing. Who really cares? Where are you gonna go from here? It don't matter, and it's never gonna be like so and so because they got 300,000 followers and every time they post they go viral. So who are you? Do we really need another video about X, Y, and Z? Do we really need another podcast? Don't nobody care. So depending on which voice you follow, that's going to determine what's going on. And the fact that you're watching this video means that you have just an inkling of an interest, at least an inkling of an interest about content creation and what it means to show up on social media, what it means to create a public platform or a public-facing personal brand. So, if you're watching this video Gotcha. Your subconscious led you here. Jesus Christ himself led you here. I don't know. Whatever you think the content creation process is, that's what it is. Now, one thing that I know for certain, for sure, after 10 plus years of content creation, short form and long form across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Vine, Facebook, Threads, the most important part of content creation that I've found, and this is after going viral on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, the one thing that is actually most important actually isn't even consistency. That's important, and it's something that most people overlook. But I got one that's even more important than consistency. It's experimentation. In 10 plus years of making videos, short form and long form, getting paid to do brand collabs, doing videography for businesses as a service. The one thing that is more important than consistency is experimentation. I'll stand by that. I stand by it. Because even if you lean into consistency, you can still be consistently posting unengaging content. I'm not even going to say good or bad, because there's a difference between it, good and bad, but there's a difference between the paradigm of good versus bad versus engaging versus unengaging. Good versus bad content, that's subjective. That is. If you're not into auto detailing videos, then that's quote unquote a bad video to someone who doesn't like auto detailing videos. But moving good and bad out of the way, engaging versus unengaging. Engaging means the piece of content elicits an emotional reaction from the audience. Engaging means it captures your attention, and it also prompts you to do something about it. Whether that means hit the like button, comment, share it, save it. Unengaging means people encounter it and then scroll after the first 2 seconds. I don't care. Apathy is your worst enemy in social media content creation land. Because the point of posting anything or sharing any form of creative expression, more often than not, if you're doing it in a public setting, is so that you can get a response. You can get feedback. You can get emotional reactions to things that you've practiced, that you've thought about, that you've cultivated. You want to show people what you did, or what you're doing, what you're working on, what you are planning to do, what have you. But there's no way to truly know what is engaging or unengaging unless you experiment. You literally have to try different things, try different types of content, try different types of video formats, try different types of video recording tools. Like, do you like recording from a phone? Do you like recording from your laptop? Do you like recording from an actual digital camera? Try different editing tools. Do I want to use DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro? Do I want to use CapCut? Do I want to use just the native editing in TikTok? Like what works for me? But not only what works for me, what actually works for a sustainable approach to content creation. Can I keep this up? Do I even want to do this? You got to experiment. Consistently experimenting also keeps things fresh for you as the content creator. Because if you feel like your process is stale, and every time you try to make a thing, it feels like pulling teeth, it feels like you walk in with cement bricks on your feet, it feels like you're watching grass grow and paint dry, because it's just that dull and boring and mind-numbing of a task that it feels like it's something you just have to do, or something you want to do and enjoy doing, or you're only doing it for the money, or you're only doing it for the vanity metrics. You're gonna burn out. You'll find through experimentation what actually works for you. And it's also okay realizing that I don't want to be a content creator. I don't care that much. I post every so often. Cool. But if you thought that just posting for money was sustainable, I mean, maybe for a little while, but after some time, it can get dull and kind of stupid if you don't actually enjoy the process. And that's for anything in life. But the best way to find out as quickly as possible is through experimentation. And then, let's say your account is doing well. Let's say you found a niche that you really enjoy. You're posting consistently, and you're actually gaining significant traction. But then, even in the midst of the growth, you still hit a wall. Experimentation can help you break through that wall. It can help you create different ideas, create different approaches, create different content formats that will revitalize your content creation process, revitalize your approach to bringing new ideas to life. Because at the end of the day, it's just a piece of content. And maybe 1,000 people will see it, or maybe 100,000 people will see it. But the one thing that truly matters is that 5 years from now, when you look back at that one piece of content, will you be proud of it? As in, will it bring you joy to know that in that moment in time, with the skills, resources, and capabilities and information that you had at the time, you were able to create something that you can look back on and say, I'm glad I made that. But you don't get to know all of these things without experimentation. There's so much, even within my own content creation, where I'm thinking through different ways to show up online and in person, but different ways to show up creatively, and so many ideas that I've had since 2016 that have yet to come to fruition, but it's just a matter of experimenting and just doing it. Even if it's not in the fully formed thought or the ideal version of it that makes sense in my brain. And I mean, with any given thing, I remember listening to Kevin on Stage talk about this, where he heard this from someone else when it came to making movies and TV shows and stuff like that. There's the movie that you imagine, there's the movie you film, and then there's the movie you edit. And then take it one step further, then there's the movie that the viewers perceive that they're watching. So everything is experimental. Even when you have it, like, it's so clear in your mind, like, this is what I want it to be. I think it's going to be amazing if it turns out exactly the way I imagined it. But it's not until you actually take it from brain into action and then into outcome that you actually see, oh, okay, this experiment actually went well. All the ingredients came together just as I'd expected. And I can't wait to do this again. And this time I can tweak certain things, streamline the process, and then we can keep going. Try it again, try it again, try it again. Do different iterations. But still, none of that comes to be without experimentation. None of it. None of it. In experimentation, you have to be genuinely okay with trying and failing. And it's the failure part, the fear of failure part, that also clouds your judgment with content creation in a way where you feel safer if you keep doing this type of content because you know that is most likely going to get this amount of engagement versus trying something completely new, whether it's a new type of video or a whole new niche, and you're unfamiliar with that territory, and when you try to do it, it feels awkward because you don't have the clearest of pathways just yet. You don't have the muscle memory just yet. You don't have the mental habit and the patterns formed just yet. And the fear of failure is what makes content creation more difficult than it needs to be. Because what if I was to say, the next video that you post will go viral, as in it is guaranteed 1 million views, no matter what you post. I don't care what it is. But if I told you that the next video that you post online will undoubtedly hit over 1 million views, would you post? Would you post? And then what would you post? And it's just a general question, like, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And a lot of people would say one thing, and yet in reality, they're doing something completely different because the fear of failure. And I've dealt with this. I still deal with this in different areas of life. But I'm actively working against letting fear define my decision making. Not just in content creation, but in life and relationships, at work. It's a work in progress. But it is an intentional work versus just floating through life and going with the flow of what other people think I should be doing, or just following trends, or just aimlessly following people who I think got things figured out. But in reality, we all out here experimenting, whether we want to admit it or not. Nobody truly has it figured out. Some stuff, it looks one way on the outside, but you really have no idea about the backstory. But all that being said, if you take nothing else away from this, know that the number one most important factor of content creation for social media is experimentation. The more you experiment, the farther you'll go. And I stand by that fact. And if you want to revamp your content creation process or de-stress your content creation process, I have a content creator toolkit that I made based on a few principles and lived experiences from 10 plus years of content creation. And these are principles that I use today actively that help me with my creative process, but also in other areas of life. So if you would like the toolkit, go ahead, slide through the description. It's there. It is helpful. I know that it would change the way you approach posting media online. I also stand by that. And even if some of it isn't new information, it's still always good to have these reminders. It's still always good to have reinforcement from someone else who is separated from your exact circumstances, but on the same path, or even farther along the same path as you, and is looking to say, yeah, keep doing what you're doing because it actually works. It actually will turn out positively. So, content creator toolkit in the description. And I would also love to hear from other content creators and see what your experience has been like. And what is that one factor of content creation that has influenced your process, your creative process, from top to bottom? Mine, even more than consistency, mine is experimentation. But y'all be blessed, and thank you for tuning in.